be a light for you in dark places when all other lights go out.
Hey guys, this is DCHL Devin here, and welcome to another episode of A Light in the Dark. And for those of you guys who don't know, this is our question and answer segment, sort of like the GBHL's Speak Friend in Question. You guys post questions in the comment section below, and we go ahead and answer them here on this channel. Now, for this video, we're actually going to do something a little bit special. We're going to treat it more like a news channel because there is a lot of news to talk about in these days. So, of course, most of you guys have heard the news, but many of you want to talk about it a little bit further, see what others think about it, and of course, what the DCHL thinks about it. So, I'm going to go ahead and talk to you about it today. Also, as well as that, you may have noticed a kind of a format change from our earlier episodes, and that Walker is not here next to me. Walker actually is really busy with work that has come onto him from recent times, and he will be coming to future episodes. However, for just a couple of these, or as often as we can get them out, he may not be able to attend with us. So you're going to see him when he can make it, and also other members of the DCHL on this channel. If not them, then you will see me, and I will go ahead and answer everything for you. So, with that in mind, let's go ahead and get into the big topic today. Games Workshop has decided to extend The Hobbit, or Lord of the Rings, really, and as they're probably going to call it, Middle-earth SBG. Now, how do we know this? Well, one, of course, there was the Warhammer app. It actually announced this on the GW's phone app. However, we also have seen that there are job postings on the GW website for a Middle-earth designer, a Middle-earth writer, a manager, all of these three positions that are just dedicated to keeping our hobby going. This is fantastic news, guys. Now, what does this really mean for Lord of the Rings SBG? What I'm thinking this means is we'll probably get some books that will streamline the entire series with, the source books and the Hobbit profiles that were in all three books and supplements that followed. I think we're going to go ahead and get these all merged into a single book. However, I am inclined to agree with GBHL James on this one. GBHL James, if you guys don't know, posted a Speak Friend in Question video, or actually, I guess just a special on his GBHL podcast, where he talked about the fact that GW is probably just going to use these licenses in order to produce board games and other entry material. It seems like GW is kind of bringing things back to the way they were in time, because they're bringing back even other specialist games. They're bringing back Blood Bowl, they're bringing back Necromunda, they're bringing back a lot of other old games, Mordheim and such, along with Lord of the Rings that's just simply being lumped into the group. Chances are we're going to see the models that were confirmed to have been created by the Perry twins. We're going to end up seeing these models in board games or other specialist games, just like all the other board games like the Horus Heresy we just have seen. So, does this mean that we're going to get effectively ignored? I don't think so, not at all. The best part about this is, one, our game system is not going to another company. It's okay if GW drops it, but we didn't really want it to go too much toward another company, in my opinion. The reason why is because, granted, the next company is going to change the rules on us. Now, we have one of the best and most balanced game systems there are out there. Right now, there's very few tweaks that need to be made to make this game almost near perfect in what it does. We don't want someone coming in and rewriting the entire rules. Remember, we could get like an Age of Sigmar type of approach on our game. Not to say it's bad, but certainly there's something to be said about the idea of, hey, just bring all your models and play with them. So we really don't want anything like this to happen to our game system. So it's better off that GW keeps the license and then just ignores it. Does really nothing with it but produce models for it. This is really, honestly, the best case scenario. Every time a new rulebook came out, we were looking at, what are they going to do with it? We didn't know. It could get completely reworked. Now, with the Hobbit rendition of things, we have seen one of the best formats for our game system. But with only so many changes, you are bound to make things worse eventually. So it's better that they just stop. let us have the game that we have and just keep giving us more profiles. I think this is perfect scenario for us. Not only that, this is one of the best times that GW could have done this. This is in a time when the GBHL is at its height with well over like 4,000 subscribers, and then other Hobbit leagues springing up just all over the place. We have the DCHL, the OSBGL in Canada, you have the German Hobbit League, the Norwegian one, the Irish one, all these Hobbit leagues, these Lord of the Rings supporters, these YouTube channels that are coming out all over the place. This is a perfect time. We have a magazine now held by the GBHL, whom are the SBG magazine, if you guys don't know. This is White Dwarf level quality magazine content, but instead of written by a corporation who wants to sell you models, we are writing it by guys who love the game, and not only love the game, but very good at it. So they're bound to give you advice that actually means something. That actually is just more than just, hey, we produced this new model, so buy it because it's great. So this is honestly a great time. I think that this is one of the best things that could have happened to us, is that GW extends it, but ignores it. So ignores it in what way? I think we're going to still get models. We're probably going to get the Hobbit Battle of Five Armies models like I just mentioned. So I couldn't say too much more about this news. We don't have a timeline on when really this will take effect. This could be years, this could be months, it could be soon, I guess. And even if it is soon, what does that really mean? Are we still going to get content on a regular basis? Probably. I really don't know what this really means for the hobby. And even if we get board games, of course we'll do what the people do with Horse Heresy. They'll buy the board game because the models are really, really cheap and a great deal when you get that board game. So we'll probably end up doing the same thing. They'll release a Battle of Five Armies board game, and we'll be like, we won all of those models, and you can keep your board game. Or who knows, maybe the board game will be fantastic, and we'll have that too. Maybe even host it in some tournaments in the future. We'll see. We'll see what happens. So with that in mind, we're actually getting into some other really big news. For those of you guys who don't know, GBHL James has just unleashed his new YouTube video. It seems that he is still going to support the GBHL podcast, but he is also going to want to branch into other games. Now, this is great news in the fact that, one, we still get the content from the GBHL, which, of course, we love. But number two, he's one of the biggest content providers on the GBHL channel. So this means that you got a lot of great content from a guy who films it quite often. If you guys haven't seen his channel, I definitely recommend subscribing to it. Actually, I just saw his Seraph Ungul battle report, and he definitely has an upgraded quality to his videos. He is really trying to produce some fantastic content for the fans, and I support him 100% on that. As long as, of course, and as he's been showing, he supports the Lord of the Rings community, and it seems like he's never going to stop doing that as well. So we all love him for it. And of course, the rest of the GBHL, we'll get the Palantir from the GBHL Damien and Tom, and from GBHL Jamie, the Battle Company's Bat Reps that he's been doing. Which, speaking in mind, if you guys haven't noticed, we actually have produced a Battle Companies game of our own. Now, this isn't meant to replace the old Battle Companies system. You can always play the old Battle Companies. We have no problem with it. The thing was, it was kind of formatted for a longer period of time and formatted more toward just an adventure and not really toward a fast gameplay style. So we invented a new one, and essentially after months of beta testing it, we've released it to the public. It's on DCHobbitleague.com, and with this, you are now all heroes. So basically, you are a low hero ascending to become one of the greats, a Boromir or a Saruman of today. And essentially, your character can invest in abilities and weapons and stuff like that, and upgrades, and we provide a bunch of scenarios and things like that. Now, keep in mind, guys, that this is technically on its first wide release. So, like War of the Ring or any other first wide release, there's bound to be some holes in it. So, not many, of course, because of the fact that, we beta tested this, but there are a couple. The ones we have found, or the community has found, we have posted on the website as well. Right next to it, you will see an errata and FAQ page. Highly suggest reading up on these before you start playing, because they might address some questions you may have already had. So this is a great source of information. So far, the Battle Companies has proven to be really fun. A lot of people have been loving the material in this magazine. Now, we do actually plan on playing Battle Companies at Nova Open and in a couple tournaments along the way. So before Nova, we have played it in 2 tournaments, and we'll have also gotten the community fan base to tell us what they thought of the rules. And with all of that information, we'll come up with version 2. Version 2 will come out in April of next year, and that will have all of the questions that were talked about, and we will put them into version 2 and answer those questions, and also make any tweaks that we found to be a little bit broken or crazy. Also, while we do all of the tournaments and other people testing our game system, we have the Battle Companies campaign, which we have been filming on the DCHL channel. If you haven't noticed, guys, it is Sam, me, and Jake, all DCHL members, competing against each other in a Battle Companies essentially tournament, but filmed over the courses of several bat reps. We actually have 6 of them already filmed as of this video, 2 of them being released right now, potentially a 3rd one very soon, and it just depends on how fast I get to edit them. But generally I try to pump out about 2 a week, and that should keep up the content flowing. Also, the best part is we plan on putting them on every single different board that we have. So for those of you guys don't know, the DCHL has a massive collection of boards that we bring to Nova Open, and you guys will see them in our bat reps. So with that in mind, we also have another tidbit of news. And as if it doesn't stop, we actually have an Erebor board being built next. Now, this board is fantastic. We actually have made the mounds of gold, the rubies, and all the plates, and the silverware, and everything, and all the gold, just mounds of gold. Now, if you guys head over to Right Wargame Terrain, he is actually the official terrain maker of the DCHL. I mean, we have several terrain makers working for us. However, he is the one who makes the fantastic sets that you guys saw with Goblin Town and Lake Town and all of those other really, really big, really incredibly beautiful sets. And he is now making the Treasure Room of Erebor. And so go to his Facebook page, and he has the first video of Erebor. It's the first 2x2, and it's not even 100% done because we actually don't have the dishes and all the other pots and things that are all gold, and the silverware that, you know, fill the golden mounds, and the rugs and beautiful embroideries and such. All of that will be filling the Golden Horde, and then he'll be finishing the rest as a full 4x4, which of course we will be playing at Nova Open and on our bat reps for the Battle Companies. So with that in mind, this is a ton of news. I mean, just a lot of different things that we have going on for the DCHL, and a lot of things seem to be going on for GBHL. If you guys haven't heard, GBHL has officially announced Ardacon. Ardacon is basically a World Cup for the Lord of the Rings. This is actually the most amazing time to get into the game system because now we have a support on a level we have never really known before. All right, with the most amount of conventions we've ever seen pop up with our game system, now with Nova Open hosting a full thing. I mean, United States, other than Adepticon's Bilbo Bash many years ago, you weren't finding any tournaments. Now we got them almost everywhere, and the best part is the GBHL have capitalized on this and are creating Ardacon, the World Cup of Lord of the Rings SBG. Now, if you have seen GBHL James's Facebook post, there is a record number of players at potentially 200 players. This is absolutely insane. I think, number one, it might be smaller than that, I don't know, but apparently a lot of countries will be represented in this one. In fact, almost every country in the surrounding area. So it is very potentially possible. Even the Canadians and the Americans are traveling across the pond, and we will be attending as well with a pretty sizable force of players. So with all these countries being represented, this is actually kind of a real big deal, potentially 200 players. I mean, More power to you, GBHL James, because you're going to have a hell of a time, orchestrating a 200-man tournament. But we have all the faith in you because you have been doing this for 2 years. You and the GBHL have already shown that you can host one hell of a tournament. This one will be hosted in Manchester for their redesolation of Stockport in October of this coming year. Guys, you don't want to miss this. If you miss this tournament, it is the tournament of tournaments. It's the event of the ages. This is what you want to join Hobbit and LOTR for. It's the community. And we have a community unlike any other game system. If you think about it, most game systems, the idea of some tournament in another country, yeah, sure, they do it, but we don't see the scale of collaboration that we see here. Different countries unifying together in order to create a game system and a tournament scene. This is quite unique and extremely impressive amongst a niche game. And we're turning it into that, and maybe GW's noticed that. Maybe that's why we're getting the specialist games. I'm not really sure about all that. Maybe it is they just want to hold on to the license for as long as possible, which more on that. But the thing is, this is a great time to just get involved with your hobby, and you'll see a lot of people are already doing that. Steve from Northwest Campaign has already made a new YouTube channel for his content, Tabletop Gaming. This is a channel that essentially is just another vlogs and hobby guides and stuff like that. Everything to support the hobby. You guys should support him because anybody supporting the hobby is good by us. Also, Wild War Gaming and Blackfire Productions from the Canadians. You guys may have noticed him. Adam Chandler produces that content. It's actually pretty good content. He even met with Ash from Guerrilla Gaming and hosted some bat reps on that channel. It's actually really good because we need to get Lord of the Rings SBG as far out as possible. And we're doing a fantastic job at that. Now, as far as what all these mean, all these different things, I mean, what is really the future of our game? What is the future of Lord of the Rings SBG with new game systems cropping up and everything like that? I mean, as far as battle companies, and as far as the potential board game releases of GW, and as far as everything about Ardacon, and I mean, Nova Open being now a tournament in the United States that now hosts, all these events. What does this mean? Essentially, the game is pretty much affirmed to go on. All of you guys who thought that the game was going to die and completely wither away, it seems we got news for that. I mean, I'll even admit that I was one of the people saying, look, it's obvious, Games Workshop's going to drop the game. They're not going to continue it, but what do we do after they drop it? We had a plan in place for that, and that plan stays in place because even with GW's continued support, the community supporting the game is optimally what we want for the most fantastic game system that we can have. So yeah, those are really my thoughts on it. I guess on some tidbit thoughts, some people were asking me some questions about the 2022 date. If you guys don't know, GW was rumored to have had a 2022 extension till the year 2022. Essentially, people were asking, okay, why that date? And some theories I had on that is that New Line Cinema is probably required to make a movie by 2023, or at least begin production on one. And they're not going to want the license to the Lord of the Rings to go back to Tolkien Estate, whom have pretty much stated that if they get them back, they're not going to give them away again. So New Line, going to want to keep a cash cow of a billion-dollar franchise, is probably going to continue to produce spin-off films or maybe reboots. Not sure at all, and not sure even how I feel about that, but they are going to come out with more, and that's why I think Games Workshop is holding on to everything, just simply seeing where it goes. And so that, along with the changes in all the infrastructure that they seem to be doing. So with that in mind, guys, I hope you guys learned something from this. If you have any questions, go ahead and post them in the comments section below, and I will be sure to answer them. Until then, stay tuned, and we'll give you guys all the great content, and keep supporting the Hobbit Hobby.